Well, hello, I'm Janet Morena, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program, and boy, am I excited. Because tomorrow I am going to be flying to Washington, D.C. for so many events that we're going to be having this week in D.C. Priests for Life, that's right. Our Priests for Life team will be on the ground. We want you to join us. Well, joining me right now is pro-life leader Frank Pavone. Welcome to the program.
Okay, greetings. Another March for Life.
Another March. Well, for me, this will be my 34th consecutive March for Life. Haven't skipped one. Imagine that.
That's right. Yeah.
So now, we have a lot going on. Of course, on Thursday, there'll be a prayer service in front of Planned Parenthood. They can join us at that. That will be starting at 9 a.m. to 11. Then that afternoon, there's going to be a kind of show the truth to President Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And that will begin at 12:30 in front of the White House.
In front of the White House,
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah.
And they can join us there. And then, of course, the big event that we hold is the next day. Friday will be the prayer service in DAR Constitution Hall. And that starts, of course, with a Catholic Mass at 7:30, but the prayer service begins 8:30. No charge to come. Beautiful, beautiful theater.
Great venue, yeah.
Great venue. Yeah. And we have some people being honored, don't we?
Well, we have some great honorees this year. Now, today we're going to talk about two of them, two of the four.
Right.
Mark Houck. He's been a follower of Priests for Life. He has been a peaceful, prayerful, pro-life activist out in front of the abortion facilities
Father of
in Philadelphia.
7 children.
7 children.
Right.
And he does like Scripture says, train your children in the ways of the Lord. He's brought his children out to pray at the abortion facility. Well, you know, you've been with me and we've been all over the country in front of these places. We know that they have very ugly, hateful death squirts, as we call them, there to bring in these moms to have their abortion. So one of these death squirts, he was angry at Mark. He was taunting him and taunting his kid. So Mark was defending his child, and they got into a little altercation. The Philadelphia Police Department said there's nothing to this. There's no need to bring any charges or anything. But the Biden administration said, oh, the FACE law. You know, this law that Clinton signed in 1994, you can't intimidate anybody going in for abortion in these clinics, or you can't block access. Well, he was doing neither one of those things.
He was doing neither one.
But that doesn't stop the data. Listen, these pro-abortion...
a SWAT team barged into his home.
Came to his house in the early hours of the morning one day with guns drawn.
Yeah.
Pointed at him and his family. It was absolutely over-the-top, overreaction. It's a police state.
Right.
It's the activity of a police
state. And the thing is, Mark was very calm.
Yeah.
And of course, eventually the charges were dropped. And
he was vindicated in court. By a jury. Yeah.
By a jury. And that's why we are honoring him for his witnessing in front of the abortion mills, but then also too for his sticking by.
Not getting intimidated himself, not backing down. Instead, he's fighting back now. He's suing the Biden administration for what they did.
Right.
This is what has, many commentators have said it this way. The other side doesn't understand, and they don't care about our rhetoric, our arguments. Mm-hmm. They only care about action. Right. When we take action against them, then they take notice. And this is what Mark is doing. He's suing, and he's running for Congress.
Yeah, it's terrific.
It's great. So we wanted to honor him and encourage him, because in honoring him, Janet, what we're really doing is we're sending a signal to the whole pro-life movement. And number one, we're living in a police state. Beware, because they are targeting pro-lifers, not just
and
Mark.
And it could be you next.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah.
And they are targeting, we've seen, in fact, we have a FOIA request, don't we, Freedom of Information Act, to get more information, because we've seen documents, Congress has obtained documents, that the FBI is actually targeting traditional Catholics, and pro-life people. Yeah. And it's like, well, what are you trying to do?
I'm sure we're on some hit list somewhere.
And that's why we ask Freedom of Information. We want to know.
We want to know.
So,
well, recently we got to ask Mark his reaction for being honored. So let's take a look and see what Mark had to say.
Well, friends, we are delighted to welcome again on this program our friend Mark Houck from Philadelphia. Mark, how are you doing today?
Oh, it's great to be with you again, Father. Thanks for having me.
It is great to see you. And listen, congratulations on receiving this National Pro-Life Recognition Award. My board at Priests for Life and also the board of the National Pro-Life Religious Council were unanimous in their conviction that really, we wanted to honor you on the day of the March for Life at this national prayer service. And, you have made it so clear, through all the things that have happened to you, that the last thing you were doing was seeking any kind of spotlight or glory. We do this for the glory of God and salvation of souls and for the lives of these babies. But nevertheless, congratulations. We want to give honor where honor is due, because you've given a great example of faith and perseverance in the midst of pretty serious trials.
Well, we're happy to accept that award. We're honored to accept it, and we have to accept these things because it's important that we acknowledge what people are doing, and for the glory of God, as you said. And yesterday, I was at Planned Parenthood. We had a save yesterday, so we continue to persevere and help babies and moms. And this just keeps us going when we get these honors. It's just a pat on the back from the Lord, I think.
Well, Mark, when you go out and pray at these facilities, as you've been doing for a very long time, and we were together at the 40 Days for Life symposium. Sure. I think that's the last time we were together in person. But how we have to clothe ourselves in prayer. Could you say a word to our audience about the importance on the day of the March for Life, when we will all be together with you, with Bishop Strickland, with Sister Dee Dee, with Mark Lee Dickson, and with pro-life marchers from around the country? Could you comment on the necessity of clothing ourselves in prayer whenever we're going to go out into the public arena, whether it's at an abortion clinic or whether it's at the March for Life?
Yeah, I think it sets the right disposition as we go out to a prayer vigil or even a march. There's a celebratory element to coming together as a pro-life family, but there's also a solemn nature of it all, which I think requires the right disposition. And I think for me, when I go out to the prayer vigils, I like to fast, and of course I bring my rosary. And I think it's important because I think God can profoundly use us. Not that He can't use us if we're not praying and so forth, but I think our disposition, our interior disposition, our outward disposition needs to be one of service. And I think the best way for me to enter into that, especially as I come to the march, that I'm there to witness to who we are as a people, is that we prepare our hearts. So we're not going to have like a huge buffet breakfast and gorge ourselves. We're really going to enter into solidarity with the children that we've lost, that we remember, and of course the moms. And I think the best way to do that is maybe have a black coffee or something and just really empty ourselves so that God can further use us. I think it gives us the right disposition, and I'm happy to share that. I know it's helped me knowing that I'm going there and I really need to surrender everything, and that includes the exterior for the day. And I think to fill our cup up with prayer and with the Lord from Mass and communion is just a perfect way to begin that day.
Mark, since we were last together, two big developments have happened, and I just want to touch on these very briefly before we let you go, because it's shaping your life, and I think it's shaping the life of the nation. One is our friends Dinesh D'Souza and Dan Bongino, two great patriots and just men that I admire so much, have made a film, as you know. It's called Police State. Correct. You're in it. Tell us about that, Mark, because it has to do with what happened to you when the FBI raided your home.
Sure. What a timely film. And of course, Dinesh would always be on top of these things at the center of this, knowing how to draw attention to what needs attention. So, Police State, we were interviewed for this film back in March. Dinesh had been planning it, a month after my raid. And, he's highlighting that. He's highlighting our story, other stories, and whistleblowers that have come forward to kind of reveal all these things. It's really exposing the deep state, and it's exposing the weaponization of our government. And it needs to be heard. It needs to be seen. I think it's opening up October 23rd and the 25th at theaters nationally. And it's going to be an important film, I think, for this coming election. I think it's timely, and people just need to educate themselves about what truly is happening, because I can't tell you how many people don't believe really what happened to me, or don't even know what happened to me. And maybe it's because they've eliminated news in their life. I don't know, but there's a lot of people in this country who don't know how bad things really are, and how the two-tiered system of justice has taken over this country, and how this republic is in danger of losing its freedom. So I'm happy to be a part of it, and I look forward to being at different premieres. I know you and I might be in Florida together at a premiere, so I look forward to that.
Yes, policestatefilm.net, everybody, is where you can go for that. And Mark, it'll be an important theme for us to stress at the prayer service, because these people are going after the entire pro-life movement, the entire conservative movement,
Sure.
and it's another way another reason why we fortify ourselves in prayer. And finally, the other thing that changed, you announced a big new effort in your own service to our nation. Tell us about that too.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for the opportunity. God laid it on my heart through many people that I have a sacred duty, as we all do, to do what we can. And if God gives us, the position or the ability to influence others, I think St. Augustine talked about this, that we would be held accountable to those things if we reject those opportunities. So we're running for Congress. This is something we took to a lot of prayer. It's not something we wanted, but it's clear that God wants it. And so we're all in for God. And, that gap that will be what I choose for my life and what God wants for my life, I'm going to go with what God wants for my life. And so we announced in early August, we're 2 months in. We got a lot of work to do. We're going up against an incumbent who he's got a lot of support, and but we have God on our side. So we had the full force of the government coming after us, all the money in the world coming after us. We won, as you know, and I believe we'll be successful and victorious in this as well.
What's the congressional district there in Pennsylvania for the race?
That's right. That's District 1 in Pennsylvania, the Bucks County region of Pennsylvania.
The Bucks County region. Okay, we got a lot of good pro-life people there, as you well know. And well, listen, how can people connect with your campaign?
Sure, they can go to houckforcongress.com. That's HOUCK. It's not the number, but FORcongress.com, houckforcongress.com.
It's so exciting. Well, there's a lot going on. The run for Congress, the police state film, the ongoing legal. I mean, because you on the legal front, you're pushing back, right, against the Department of Justice for what they did to you.
That's right. We're filing very soon, and that's going to be on national news and Wall Street Journal, and we'll have a lot of attention with that as well. So, we're suing the government, we're suing the DOJ, and that's going to be coming out very soon.
Well, I think that, for our viewers who already know you and for those that are just getting to know you, it's very clear why we want to give you this Pro-Life Recognition Award. So on January 19th, it's going to be an exciting day. We're going to march for life. We're going to be together in prayer. So we want to thank you again, Mark, for your friendship and witness, and onward to victory.
Amen. God bless you, Father. Keep up the great work.
God bless you, too. Take care.
That was great.
Well, I'm looking forward to what he has to say at the prayer service.
That's
his
right.
remarks
when I hand him his award,
listen, his remarks are going to be very inspiring.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm going to point out, too, at the prayer service, his story is part of a new film that's been released called Police State. People can go to policestatefilm.net and see it. It's created by our friends Dinesh D'Souza and Dan Bongino. Okay, the two of them. They know what's going on. And Police State is a powerful movie. I think it's one of the best preparations for this year's elections. To realize that. And here's the difference between a police state and a state the way it should be, normal justice.
Right.
In a normal justice system, you go after a crime in search of a person. Right? Crime is committed. Who did it? Let's find out. Right? You don't know who you're going to find, but you're going to find the person who did the crime. In a police state, you go after a person in search of a crime.
Right.
You know who you don't like. You know who you want to silence and sideline and intimidate. You go after them, and then you make up the crime.
Right.
That's Stalinist. That's Marxist.
Yeah.
And that's what we're,
So it's great
unfortunately,
to see Mark Houck
Mark
honored.
standing up.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
Now, of course, at the prayer service, the next honoree will be Mark Lee Dickson, another
yes.
Mark.
Oh, boy.
And he has been going all over the country helping to start sanctuary cities for the unborn, right?
Now, that's where local government prohibits abortion.
That's
Local
right, the
government
local.
decides.
And it starts with, in some of these towns, it's like the town council
Yes.
votes.
City council,
And
right.
Mark has a cookie cutter recipe,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been getting this done in quite a few places all over
Well,
the
it's done in a
country.
very smart way. He's got some very smart attorneys that have been helping with this, and it's adaptable, obviously. The
Right.
basic concept is there, but then they adapt to the local circumstances in each town and city and village. And this is a great way because people understand abortion is a local phenomenon. I mean,
Right.
obviously, talk about the federal government, that Supreme Court has a lot to do with it.
Right.
But abortions are taking place not in the Supreme Court or the halls of Congress, but down the street from where you live.
right.
And that's why the local town, the local city needs to rise up and say, wait a minute, whatever we can do to stop the killing in our boundaries, we're going to do it. So he's created this movement, Sanctuary Cities for the Unborn.
That's right. Well, recently we got to chat with him and get his reaction to being honored. So
Yeah.
let's see what Mark Lee Dickson had to say.
Well, friends, we are so happy in this special broadcast to be joined now by Mark Lee Dickson. He serves as the director of Right to Life of East Texas. We've been together out there in that part of the world, and also has founded the Sanctuary Cities for the Unborn movement. So, Mark, welcome back to our headquarters.
Great to be
And
here.
we want to congratulate you because we're just announcing here on this broadcast that you are one of the recipients of our annual National Pro-Life Recognition Award. So we are very happy to be able to give that to you January of 2024 because of the great work that you've done with the Sanctuary Cities.
Well, it's a great honor. So deeply appreciative of that. And, this work, we all have to work together to end abortion in America. And we couldn't do the Sanctuary City for the Unborn initiative without the help of great organizations like Priests for Life.
Well, that's one of the great things about I've noticed any successful project in the movement or successful advance for the unborn, it always seems to be something that it does involve the wide pro-life body of citizens that we have. And this in particular, don't you find it ties into that thirst for people to be able to make a difference at the local level? Washington, D.C. seems very far away. It is in many ways very far away. Powerful, deep, dark state. People say, how can I influence that? But explain to us, for those especially that are not familiar with it, how Sanctuary Cities as a movement really gives people some local control about protecting the unborn.
So the Sanctuary City for the Unborn initiative, at the root, it starts Amos 5:15. To hate evil, to love good, and to establish justice within the city gates.
Within the city, right. Okay.
And perhaps the Lord, the God of hosts, be gracious on the remnant of Joseph. Growing up, I always heard in churches that if you want to get something done on abortion, you take care of it in Austin and Washington, D.C. And that's not what Amos 5:15 says. It says to hate evil, love good, and establish justice within the city gate.
Yes.
Now, obviously, I'm not giving up on doing work in state capitals and the nation's capital.
Right.
We still need to do work there, just like we need to do work at other places. But the local level is where we've forsaken. And if we take back our cities, we can take back our counties, we can take back our state, and we can take back America.
So this is really legislation on the most local level, right? These are,
Absolutely.
explain what's the nature of these initiatives. Are there ordinances that cover a particular city? Explain that more.
So these ordinances cover the incorporated cities, and then the county ordinances cover the unincorporated parts of the county. And they, to varying degrees, address abortion in as much as we can in that area. Here in Texas, what we're doing is abortion trafficking ordinances.
Okay.
So there's still work to be done even in Texas.
Right.
Because we're seeing what's happening with the abortion assistance groups paying for abortions across the border. And so we go as far as we can go to truly work at ending abortion in America. The Texas ordinances right now, they're having an impact in places like New Mexico and Colorado. And that's the way it should be. That Texas has got a Texas. We've got to keep on keeping on. Texas is viewed as a leader in pro-life legislation, and I want to make sure we keep being a leader in pro-life legislation.
Right.
We all have to do our part.
So in a state where abortions are generally legal, maybe there's some limit later in pregnancy, what would a sanctuary city be saying? Basically, no abortion in our city?
Well, no abortion in our city, but then also going further to say, like Mitchell County recently in Texas, they said in the unincorporated parts, the roads and the runways cannot be used for abortion trafficking.
Oh, okay.
And if there's an attempt to use those for abortion trafficking, then there's this mechanism where those abortion traffickers can be sued into oblivion.
Now, how do the lawyers that help you, because obviously there needs to be a lot of legal input into this, how do they explain how this works in this sense? That people might ask, well, wait a minute, if abortion is legal in our state, how can it not be legal in that particular city? Is it because the local government can go further in protecting the unborn than the state government?
Right. Now, in states where it's illegal, like Texas, of course, we have some room to go further on some things. Now, in states where it's legal for abortion, like New Mexico and Colorado,
right.
Illinois,
out of control, right?
They have
unrestricted.
Absolutely, they have legislation that prohibits cities from passing ordinances.
Okay.
We've got to be careful there.
Yeah.
And so the ordinances there, where in states where abortion is deemed as legal, we are passing ordinances which I call de facto abortion bans. They accomplish the same purpose, but they are requiring compliance to federal statutes known as the Comstock Act, which was passed in 1873, prohibits the mailing and receiving of abortion-inducing drugs and abortion paraphernalia. And so we know that federal law trumps state laws and state constitutions.
Yeah.
And so while a state government may say you can't pass ordinances outlawing abortion, how dare the state government try to even say you can't require compliance with federal law?
With a federal law, yeah. So in other words, the bottom line is that these sanctuary cities, these ordinances that are crafted and then voted upon, and they're usually voted upon by the city council, right?
Correct.
Usually, right. Are very, very custom made. I've heard you make this point in the past. It's not one size fits all. It's custom made. You got to take into account what state are you in. Got to take into account other factors. Therefore, the good legal advice. But then it always involves, in some way, the participation of the people. Right? They have to make their voices heard, maybe to their city council men and women. Right? That they don't want an abortion facility opening up in their town, or they don't want various laws being violated in order to kill the unborn. And that's where you've seen a great response, haven't you? It's motivated people.
And we don't just go anywhere. We have an online petition, and we have people go and sign that online petition so that we can know where the interest is.
Right.
Now, we don't use that information for anything other than getting a pulse of this is where we need to go next. And we see sometimes people share their story. They have abortion stories. They share us why they want to see this become a reality in their community. And it's very moving. But we encourage those people to show up to those council meetings.
Yes.
And to share their story. And there's times that just recently in Llano, Texas, a man shared that he played a role in abortion, and it completely traumatized his he's carried this for his entire life.
Yeah.
That may have been the first time he publicly shared that story. And, we're seeing more and more men and women here at these council meetings share for the first time with hopes that the Lord would use their story of the horrible decision that they made, and then how they've dealt with it afterwards, to really change the hearts and minds of those leaders, and maybe allow their vote to be in favor of the ordinance because of that testimony.
Yeah, that's where the Silent No More movement comes in, overlaps with efforts like you're making. So, friends, I hope this inspires you, give a better idea of the sanctuary cities for the unborn. And you can see, as Mark is explaining this to you, and the fruits of it, why we have chosen him for this Pro-Life Recognition Award. We want to encourage works and movements like this, like a movement within the movement. And we want you to be part of it too. Where can they go to connect with this movement?
So, 2 websites we have. SanctuaryCitiesForTheUnborn.com is where they can go specifically if they're interested in the Sanctuary City for the Unborn initiative. They can sign the petition and see abortion outlawed in their city.
In their city.
Now, if they're in a city that maybe it's like an Austin or a San Francisco,
yeah, right,
the likelihood of abortion being outlawed in those communities by a local ordinance, it's a stretch, right?
Right.
So there's another website, markleedickson.com.
Okay.
And what that is for, I'll come out and I'll share some stories of courage that I found among council members and mayors throughout the movement, and some words of encouragement to help people rise up and to get in those places of mayor, city council, school board, etc. And so from a very different angle, but it's the same kind of mission. We've got to take back our cities.
Got to claim all of them. That's right.
Absolutely.
That's
And they can contact me through that website. We have
MarkLeeDickson.com.
a lot of different resources there of other things I've been involved in too, like the defamation suit of saying abortion, when I said abortion is murder, and got sued for it. And, we can stand up and have courage. We don't have to back down. We don't have to cower to the woke left.
And we can't let them keep criminalizing speech, which is
Absolutely.
a big national challenge we have right now. So thanks, Mark. Congratulations once again. We look forward to January the 19th, Friday morning, the day of the March for Life, being with you. We're also honoring Bishop Strickland, as you know, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you. Thank you, brothers and sisters, and we'll go back to our main program.
What a young man to be so energetic and on fire with this
Well,
new project.
he lives like we've been living for the last 30 years, on the road all the time.
All the time.
He'll say,
All the
I'm
time.
going to be in this city today, and the other one tomorrow, and then next day, I've been home in a month. We know what that's like.
Exactly.
And that shows this cause, and this is one of the reasons we have the prayer service. This cause goes to the core of our spirituality, and it demands a full response. It
right.
calls for a full response to say, I want to stop this killing no matter what it takes, and I want to give it's a scriptural lesson, and I bring this up often at the prayer service. St. John tells us, here's how we know what love is. He laid down his life for us, and then he goes on to say, we too must lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters.
That's right.
That's the pro-life mission right there.
Well, and with Mark Lee Dickson, with his Sanctuary Cities for the Unborn, it reminds me of, when you talk about abortion, some people go, oh, it doesn't happen in my town. And we know it does. So the phrase for Mark Lee is not in my backyard. See, that's what he's trying to do.
That's right.
He's trying to say, no, in my town, not in my backyard are we going to have abortion mills, and no one's going to kill babies in my town. So it's a great project, and I'm so glad he's going to get honored.
Yeah, it's great.
Very exciting. Let's get on that planes tomorrow and get to D.C.,
we
right?
wanted to remind people who the other 2 honorees are. We're going to talk about them in a different program.
But yes, we're also honoring Sister Deirdre Byrne and also Bishop Joseph Strickland. So you're going to want to get to Constitution Hall on Friday morning, 7:30 for Catholic Mass, 8:30 for the prayer service, and then after the service in the lobby there will be a meet and greet opportunity.
We're going to meet
all
these
four
people.
of these people.
That's
so
right.
it's a great
And
great
Alveda King
opportunity.
will be with us.
Yes, and Alveda
Dr.
King.
King.
Dr.
Right,
King will
right,
be with
right.
us too. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Janet. All right.
Well, brothers and sisters, if you want to know about all our activities this week at the March for Life, go to priestforlife.org/March for Life. We have the addresses there for the Planned Parenthood, for the White House event and times, for the prayer service at Constitution Hall, and where you can listen to the Silent No More testimony. So again, priestforlife.org/March for Life. One-stop shopping. See you in D.C. Thank you, and God bless.